Malaysia acted proactively to prevent spread of novel coronavirus. United Kingdom officially leaves European Union. Hello and good afternoon. I'm Cynthia Arthur. You're watching News on 2. Malaysia took advanced measures and acted proactively to prevent the spread of the 2019 novel coronavirus before the World Health Organization's WHO declaration that the outbreak was a global health emergency. Health Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad said Malaysia had also shared current information on the virus with countries in the Southeast Asian region in its capacity as leader for the ASEAN Emergency Operations Centre Network for Public Health Emergencies. Commenting further on the matter, Datuk Seri Dr. Zulkifli also said the ministry had also took extra precautions by taking throat swabs of people who are asymptomatic, even though the recommendation by the World Health Organization WHO is only for those who show symptoms of the coronavirus.
Langkah-langkah yang saya kira MOH, KKM telah mengambil langkah-langkah yang sedikit ke depan daripada apa yang WHO well before pengisytiharan PHEIC ini, ya. Itu perlu saya sebutkan untuk memberikan keyakinan bahawa we are in control, we are on top of all this, ya. Cabaran-cabaran ini kita kekal untuk meningkatkan segala usaha dan langkah-langkah kami, ya.
The WHO declaration was made following growing concern voiced across the world about the outbreak. To date, the health minister said the cumulative positive cases of the coronavirus in this country remain at 8, all comprising China nationals. While the total number of patients under investigation for coronavirus is 127, of which 68 are Malaysians, Chinese 56, and 1 each from Jordan, Brazil and Thailand. The Home Affairs Ministry is ready to further restrict the entry of Chinese visitors into the country to contain the coronavirus outbreak on the advice of Health Ministry. Minister concerned Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said this was after the World Health Organization WHO declared the infection as a global public health emergency.
Di peringkat negara ini ada komiti dan Menteri Kesihatan menerajui jawatan kuasa itu dan kita adalah ahli. Jadi kalau sudah timbul perkara seperti itu, kita boleh teliti segera sama ada sebab ada keputusan WHO itu, maka wajarkah Malaysia memperluaskan lagi langkah-langkah untuk sekatan.
The minister added that while the committee was looking into the matter, the government would maintain the current ban on tourists only from Wuhan and other areas around the Hubei province. Malaysia will donate 18 million pieces of medical gloves for healthcare workers in Wuhan, China, currently battling the 2019 novel coronavirus outbreak. Primary Industries Minister Teresa Kok said the donation is a sign of solidarity and national sympathy for China. Teresa said the medical gloves, both natural rubber and nitrile rubber, would be sent to China in batches.
Sending the gloves to Wuhan as soon as we can. As the industry players are trying, very hard to ship over the gloves to Wuhan, I already approached Wisma Putra. So I think Wisma Putra is trying to bring the Malaysians who are staying in Wuhan to come back. Many of them requested to come back. So there will be special flight go to Wuhan. And I really requested them that put all the gloves, that whatever that we can, gather, put in the plane and go straight to Wuhan.
She said this after witnessing the handing over of medical gloves by representatives of the companies concerned to China's ambassador in Malaysia, Bai Tian.
Virus recognize no nationality and borders. Under this difficult situation, China has received selfless aid from countries around the world. I have also noticed that many Malaysian companies, associations, and people have provided donations and medical supplies to China. I'm deeply touched from the bottom of my heart by your kind, timely, strong, and precious support and assistance.
Two companies, Top Glove and Supermax, have already donated 2.3 million pieces of gloves through their local offices and distributors to Wuhan. Malaysia will not suspend import and export activities with China, despite the global concern over the coronavirus outbreak. Deputy International Trade and Industry Minister Dr. Ong Kian Ming said the trading activities will remain as usual and no goods from China had been denied entry into Malaysia.
We are monitoring the situation very closely, and in terms of China's production, during these 2 weeks, we already know that many of the factories are either closed or running at very low capacity because of the Chinese New Year holidays. So I think in the short term, we won't see that much negative effect. But I think in the longer term, it'll really have to depend on how the situation is managed in China. We hope for a speedy resolution to this issue so that the global value chains that we are discussing today does not get disrupted too much.
He added that the ministry would likely be able to gauge the economic impact in the next 1 or 2 months. Thailand has seen its first case of human-to-human transmission of the new coronavirus inside the country, as it raised its total number of cases to 19, the second highest after China. Thailand's Deputy Director General of the Department of Disease Control, Thanarak Pipat, said the first patient to contract the virus inside Thailand was a Thai taxi driver. Elaborating further, Thanarak said the taxi driver had no record of travelling to China and was likely to have contracted the virus from a sick traveller. Authorities have conducted virus scans on 13 people, including the 3 family members who the taxi driver came into contact with. They said that initially none of them had tested positive for the virus. The taxi driver is one of 5 other coronavirus cases confirmed in Thailand on Friday. 7 of the 19 cases have recovered and gone home, while 12 are still being treated at hospitals. The vast majority of the almost 10,000 cases identified have been in China, mostly in and around the virus epicenter of Wuhan, and health authorities worldwide are seeking to keep the infection from spreading. There have been at least 9 cases of human-to-human transmission in 5 countries outside China: the United States, Germany, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, and now Thailand. The World Health Organization is looking closely at cases of person-to-person transmission outside of Wuhan, which would suggest that the virus may have the potential to spread further. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says the country will bar holders of Chinese passports issued in Hubei province as further precautionary steps to prevent the spread of a new coronavirus from the province's capital, Wuhan. He also said foreign nationals who have stayed in Hubei 2 weeks before they wish to visit Japan will also be denied entry from today. The announcement came hours after Japan raised its travel advisory for the whole of China to level 2, warning its nationals to avoid non-essential trips after the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus outbreak spreading from Wuhan a global emergency. According to the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, the total number of people infected with the virus in Japan, including foreign nationals, has risen to 17. As part of emergency steps, Japan will put into effect an ordinance that allows it to forcibly hospitalize those infected with the virus and bar them from working. The ordinance was scheduled to enter into force on 7th of February, but the government decided to bring it forward in the face of the World Health Organization's emergency declaration. The Japanese premier added that foreign visitors confirmed to be infected with the new coronavirus will be barred from entry into the country. Meanwhile, Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam has rejected calls from a medical union on Friday to close the border with mainland China to contain the spread of the new coronavirus. She also urged health staff not to go through with a threatened strike. The recently formed Hospital Authority Employees Alliance said earlier on Friday that 6,500 of its members would go on strike if the frontier stayed open, a day after the World Health Organization, WHO, declared the virus a global emergency. The WHO recommended all countries to try to prevent or reduce cross-border spread of disease, which originated in the central Chinese city of Wuhan. Lam announced a raft of new measures against the disease and said any industrial action by medical staff would only make the situation worse. Authorities have announced 12 confirmed infections in Hong Kong, but no deaths so far. Lam added that on the 30th of January, only 9.7% of arrivals into Hong Kong, excluding those at the airport, were from mainland China, and most of the rest were returning Hong Kong citizens. She said she expected the flow to shrink as many mainland cities were under lockdown. On another note, an official at Pasteur Institute in France said they are looking into developing a vaccine to treat the novel coronavirus. He also said that the vaccine could be made available in 20 months' time.
Donc nous avons mis en place maintenant, il y a une dizaine de jours, ce que nous appelons une task force coronavirus, dont l'objectif est de coordonner les travaux de recherche qui vont être réalisés à l'Institut Pasteur sur ce nouveau coronavirus, de façon à mettre à la disposition des patients le plus rapidement possible des stratégies diagnostiques, préventive, par exemple vaccinale ou thérapeutique.
Researchers at the Pasteur Institute managed to sequence the whole genome of the coronavirus using samples taken from the first confirmed cases in France and isolated the cell culture of the new virus, which they say could pave the way for a cure or vaccine. The Pasteur Institute has been contributing to the prevention and treatment of infectious diseases for more than 120 years. According to new figures from China's health officials, at least 259 people have died and 11,791 people have been infected in China by the new coronavirus. Most of the latest fatalities are from Hubei province. The city of Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak, is located in Hubei. Another 102,000 people were also reportedly under medical observation with possible symptoms of the respiratory ailment. Coming up next, Hajj cost for Muassasa pilgrims remains less than 10,000 ringgit. The cost for each Muassasa Hajj pilgrim will remain at only 9,980 ringgit this year from the actual cost of 22,900 ringgit. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Dato Sri Dr. Mujahid Yusof Rawal, said the remaining cost of 12,920 ringgit for each of the 31,600 Malaysian pilgrims would be borne by the Lembaga Tabung Haji TH, bringing the total cost to 408.2 million ringgit.
Tapi saya nak ingatkan untuk tahun-tahun hadapan kos sentiasa meningkat. Kos dia naik, semua kos naik. Kapal terbang naik, rumah naik, cukai di sebelah Saudi, rate of inflation, and then kita punya currency pun duit berbanding dengan Saudi dah lari. This affect our cost. So next year we have to be serious on thinking about a new regime. Macam mana kos jemaah yang hari ini sudah tidak relevan lagi, perlu direview. Tapi tahun ini maintain.
On another note, Datuk Seri Dr. Mujahid said there is no need to set up a Royal Commission of Inquiry (RCI) to investigate the alleged misappropriation of funds in TH. He said this was because the issues pertaining TH have been identified after the audit by PricewaterhouseCoopers, and the case is now under police investigation. Developing smart city concept through the implementation of the fifth generation technology, 5G, is among the main focuses of the Federal Territories Ministry this year. Minister concerned Khalid Abdul Samad said the development of the smart territory was in line with the nation's aspiration and the advancement of the digital world. In an interview with RTM in conjunction with Federal Territories Day, Khalid expressed hope that Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya and Labuan would be at the forefront in the smart city implementation. The move, he said, would indirectly resolve the urban poor issues.
Nombor dua, kita nak jadikan wilayah persekutuan ini bandar yang prihatin dan masalah kemiskinan bandar ini ditangani dengan cara yang berkesan. Ya. Nombor tiga, kita nak jadikan Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya dan Labuan ini ianya menghayati konsep negara taman. Ya. Kalau kita lihat di Kuala Lumpur sekarang ini, banyak dah taman-taman yang kita dah gazet. Dulu kedudukannya boleh bila-bila masa je orang beli dan orang bangunkan. Ya, macam Taman Tugu tu 66 ekar kita dah wartakan sebagai tanah kawasan hijau, tanah yang tak boleh dibangunkan, ya. Lepas tu di Kiara ada tanah yang sebanyak 400 ekar taman negara, taman persekutuan pun kita dah wartakan sebahagian, kerana sebahagian yang lain tu ada orang pajak, ya. So dalam kita punya program-program pembangunan, kawasan hijau diberikan keutamaan, ya, ada dia punya guideline dia dan sebagainya.
The minister added that his ministry is also determined to resolve the border issues in the Klang Valley and work harder to address the issue of abandoned projects.
Saya Khalid bin Abdul Samad, Menteri Wilayah Persekutuan. Teruskan bersama dengan RTM, jenaba media yang paling dipercayai di Malaysia.
Palestinians protest Trump plan as rockets fired from Gaza. That and more coming up in our foreign segment. The United Kingdom has officially left the European Union after 47 years of membership and more than 3 years after it voted to do so in a referendum. The historic moment, which happened at 11 p.m. local time, was marked by both celebrations and anti-Brexit protests. Candlelit vigils were held in Scotland. UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson has vowed to bring the country together and take their nation forward. Brexit parties were held in pubs and social clubs across the UK as the country counted down to its official departure. Hundreds gathered in Parliament Square to celebrate Brexit, singing patriotic songs and cheering speeches from leading Brexiteers, including Nigel Farage. With the departure, UK has turned its back after 47 years on the post-World War II project that sought to build the ruined nations of Europe into a global power. The move marks the country's biggest geopolitical shift since losing its global empire. Earlier, the Union Jack was removed from lines of European Union EU member state flags at the European Parliament building in Brussels, Belgium, ahead of the United Kingdom's exit from the bloc at midnight. The red, white and blue flag was lowered with some difficulty by officials outside the European Parliament, whose 73 British lawmakers will no longer be members of the Assembly after Friday. In its place on the pole, they raised the EU flag, a circle of 12 yellow stars on a blue background. Britain will become the first country to quit the European Union after 47 years in the club, leaving 27 member states that will now regard it as a third country. Palestinians held demonstrations across the region to protest U.S. President Donald Trump's Middle East initiative, while in the Gaza Strip, rockets and mortar rounds were fired at Israel, drawing retaliatory strikes. The Palestinians have rejected the Trump plan, which heavily favors Israel and would allow it to annex all of its Jewish settlements, along with the Jordan Valley in the occupied West Bank. Palestinians were offered limited self-rule in Gaza, parts of the West Bank and some sparsely populated areas of Israel in return for meeting a long list of conditions. Israel launched airstrikes on targets in Gaza on Friday, shortly after Palestinians fired 3 rockets into Israel, 2 of which were intercepted. They said Palestinian fighters had also launched explosive balloons towards Israel and that a sniper had shot an observational antenna. The attack also struck targets linked to the Hamas movement in response, including underground infrastructure used to manufacture weapons. Later on Friday, the military said Gaza fighters fired 3 mortar rounds, where in response, an Israeli tank fired on a Hamas military post. Hamas rejected the Trump plan and vowed that all options are open in responding to the proposal, but the group is not believed to be seeking another war with Israel. In a related development, Malaysia said the deal of the century by U.S. President Donald Trump is unfair and one-sided. In a statement released yesterday, the Prime Minister's office PMO said Palestinians have every right to reject the deal, as they were not directly involved in or even consulted over the formulation of the proposal. The PMO said Malaysia will continue to support concrete and honest efforts to find a lasting solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict based on international law and relevant United Nations resolutions through negotiations involving the parties. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has been very vocal about the Palestinian issue since the 1980s. Last week, the Premier received a courtesy call from Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and his delegation at his office in Perdana Putra. In October last year, Malaysia announced plans to open an embassy accredited to Palestine in the Jordanian capital, Amman, to better facilitate aid to Palestinians. This followed Tel Aviv's refusal to grant Malaysian officials access to the West Bank city of Ramallah over what the Israeli Foreign Ministry called Tun Dr. Mahathir's extremist anti-Israel and anti-Semitic policy. Iraqi security forces fired live ammunition and tear gas to disperse protesters in Baghdad on Friday amid ongoing anti-government protests. The clashes took place in the capital's Kilani district near Sinak Bridge, close to Tahrir Square, where thousands have camped out for months. At least one tuk-tuk 3-wheel vehicle used by protesters to transport the injured to nearby hospitals was set on fire by security forces, while at least 2 people were injured during the unrest. Mass protests have gripped Iraq since the 1st of October, with mostly young protesters demanding the overhaul of a system they see as profoundly corrupt and as keeping most Iraqis in poverty. According to the United Nations UN, since the protests began, at least 467 protesters have been killed and over 9,000 have been wounded, while according to the Iraq High Commission for Human Rights, security forces have arrested at least 2,633 others, most of whom were promptly released. Protesters have been demanding not only a new electoral law and committee, but also the removal of the entire political class and appointment of a prime minister with no party affiliation. Coming up in sports, Zinedine Zidane says Gareth Bale will stay at Real Madrid. We begin with football. Juventus midfielder Emre Can has joined Borussia Dortmund after the two clubs agreed a loan deal with the obligation to make the move permanent for 30 million euros at the end of the season. The 26-year-old is keen for regular first-team football during the second half of the campaign in order to secure his place in the Germany squad for this summer's European Championships. Emre only moved to Turin 18 months ago on a free transfer from Liverpool and made 37 appearances in all competitions during the 2018-2019 campaign, helping the club win the Serie A title and Supercoppa Italiana. However, he quickly fell out of favour following the arrival of Maurizio Sarri as coach at the start of this season, falling behind the likes of Miralem Pjanic, Rodrigo Bentancur, Adrien Rabiot and Blaise Matuidi in the Bianconeri pecking order. He has made just 8 appearances in Serie A and was not even included in their 25-man squad of the Champions League. That inevitably led to speculation the former Bayern Munich player could seek a move during the winter window. Emre becomes Dortmund's second signing of the window after the capture of Norwegian goal-scoring sensation Erling Braut Haaland from Red Bull Salzburg. Real Madrid manager Zinedine Zidane says Gareth Bale will not leave the club in January, despite leaving the Wales forward out of his latest squad. Bale, 30, was omitted from the 19-man Real squad that will face local rivals Atletico Madrid today. Earlier, Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy was earlier reported to have travelled to Madrid for talks with Real president Florentino Perez over a late move for Bale. The Welshman, who joined Real from Tottenham in 2013 for a then world record £85.3 million fee and has a contract until 2022, has scored twice in 12 La Liga appearances this season. Bale's agent, Jonathan Barnett, said it was ridiculous to suggest one of the best players in the world to leave Real on loan amid links to Tottenham earlier in the January transfer window, adding it was unlikely Bale would leave the Bernabeu during the summer. Bale's relationship with Zidane is understood to be poor, and the Welshman was close to leave the Bernabeu last summer for the Chinese Super League. He remained in Spain, however, has started only 9 of 21 La Liga matches this season to strengthen rumours Zidane wants him gone. That concludes today's edition of Updates at Noon. In our top story, Malaysia acted proactively to prevent spread of novel coronavirus. Join us again at 7 tonight for more updates on the latest happenings around the world. Thank you for watching. I'm Cynthia Arthur. Stay tuned to TV2.